Hey. Hey, hey, good to see you. How are you? I was just talking to that. Oh, okay, you just tried. Where is it? Are you coming on?
Hello, good morning and good afternoon for those who are in Japan. Welcome to our WavEC annual seminar. This year we are partners with the Embassy of Japan to Portugal. Welcome all to our webinar. So you are now used to probably to Zoom and other platforms, so you know that you are all muted by us. But if you want to raise a question, please write it on the platform, and if possible, also write the name of the speaker to whom you want to make the question to, please, so that we can reply to all your questions. So we would like to make a question to you with a poll, and we would like to ask you where you are from. So if you want to participate while we are waiting for some people to join. So maybe we can close the poll. And let's see the results. So the majority, oh, it's the same. So from home and from the office. So very good. So let's start the WavEC seminar. I'm going to introduce you António Sarmento, who is the president of the board of directors of WavEC Offshore Renewables. Please come to the virtual stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. It is a great pleasure to welcome you in this seminar. Let me first say that it is a great honor to us to organize this event in partnership with the Embassy of Japan to Lisbon. In particular, I would like to thank the ambassador, Dr. Shigeru Ushio, for accepting to co-host with WavEC our seminar this year. It is a great honor for us to partner with the Embassy of Japan to Lisbon. We are also extremely grateful to the Minister of the Sea, Professor Serrão Santos, for accepting to open this seminar, and to the Minister of Science, Technology and Higher Education, Professor Manuel Leitor, and to the Deputy Minister and Secretary of State of Energy, Dr. João Galamba, for accepting to close this seminar. Let me also give an important word of recognition to our sponsors: EDP, Principal Power, ASM, REN, Gomes Acebo e Pombo, SINER, the European Commission through Project GRIP, the Portuguese government through the Technology Interface Centers funding program, and to our media partner, Revista da Marina. The seminar is dedicated to understand how the countries approach the challenges and opportunities related to the development of offshore wind and ocean energy as two new important factors for the energy transition. In doing so, we expect to foster new partnerships between companies and research organizations from both countries. Let me now describe you very briefly what WavEC is. WavEC is a center for technology transfer in the area of marine renewable energy, namely offshore floating wind and wave energy. However, about 25% of our activity is undertaken in other ocean areas, including offshore aquaculture and ocean cleaning. WavEC has a wide and integrated approach to offshore renewable energy through a range of competencies in the areas of engineering, economics, environment, and public policies. In the last 5 years, WavEC has attracted more than 5 million euros in R&D projects, mainly European, and 2 million euros in services for companies across the world, in Portugal, Europe, and elsewhere. So we are proud to say that we understand equally well the academic world and the economic world. That is, we understand their language, approach, timescales, etc. As a result, we have a network of over 100 partners and clients. To finalize this presentation of WavEC, let me tell you that we have been involved in all the 6 prototype testing of wave and offshore wind energy that took place in Portugal. Other important outcomes of WavEC activity includes the support to EDP entrants in floating wind and their involvement in the wind float technology, the support to the first offshore aquaculture project in Portugal, and the first project in Portugal dedicated to blue hydrogen protection and storage in association to offshore wind. I believe that some important challenges and opportunities related to the development of offshore renewable energy in both Portugal and Japan are similar and include technology development, cost reduction, legislation, regulation, and energy policy, access to relevant data, namely metocean, geophysical and geotechnical data, and scalability in different aspects, supply chain, grid integration, and environmental impacts and ocean space conflict diffusions. I hope that this seminar will contribute to clarify the previous points and foster cooperation between you. I wish you a very good seminar, and I thank you once again for being with us today. Thank you.
So good morning, everyone. So we will have now the ambassador of Japan, Mr.
Shigeru.
Sorry, it's really hard to pronounce his name. So Mr. Shigeru Ushio. I give him the screen now. So please.
Okay. Thank you very much. And good morning to everyone, and good afternoon to those who are in Japan. It's my pleasure to co-host this webinar, Japan-Portugal, Major Development in Offshore Renewable Energies with WavEC, and to welcome you all. I'm also honored that WavEC chose this embassy as a partner for this year's traditional WavEC annual seminar. I would like to thank all the participants, including the Minister of the Sea, the Minister of Science, Technology, and Higher Education, and the State Secretary of Energy, for taking time out of their busy schedules to agree to participate in this webinar as speakers and moderators. Portugal is often described as the country of saudades and nostalgia. Despite the geographical distance between our two countries from extreme opposite end of the Eurasian continent, the nation of Portugal is very familiar to Japan. The historical relationship between us has a long history, starting with the Portuguese arrival at Tanegashima, the southern Japanese island, in 1543. This fact is always taught in Japanese elementary schools, so everyone knows the name Portugal. Japan's first encounter with the Western country, Portugal, led to the flourishing of the Namban culture in the latter half of the 16th century. Some of the Portuguese words that were introduced into Japanese at that time have been even survived to the present day. Of course, Portugal is not the country of the past. We are aware that in recent years, the public and private sector have been making strong efforts under the keywords of digital and green. And the outstanding performance of the Portuguese EU presidency in the first half of this year is still fresh in our memory. The EU as a whole is one of the most ambitious negotiating blocs in the world when it comes to addressing climate change issues. But among all 27 member states, Portugal is one of the countries most eager to find a dynamic solution to the problem. From a traditional maritime nation during the age of great discoveries, Portugal has transformed into the nation that is leading to the modern era. Today, Portugal has a maritime strategy that is in line with contemporary fundamental values, and it is written and updated or rather upgraded to the National Ocean Strategy 2030, which is highly aligned with the UN SDG goals and relevant EU policies. I would like to express my respect for this visionary strategy, which strikes an excellent balance between blue economic development and sustainability consideration, and I will be watching its implementation closely. Now, I would like to introduce Japan's measures. Japan declared its goal to become carbon neutral by 2050. It also aimed to reduce greenhouse gas emission by 46% from the fiscal year 2013 level by fiscal year 2030, and is trying to achieve a further 50% reduction. Prime Minister Kishida's speech at the COP26 Leaders Summit held in Glasgow earlier this month demonstrated Japan's determination to work at full strength to make taking on climate change a common challenge on humankind. They further lead the initiative in improving the goal of the climate finance, for which developed countries collectively have already committed 100 billion US dollars per year. Prime Minister Kishida announced 4 new commitments. First, developing leading project worth 100 million US dollars to transform fossil fuel fired thermal powers into zero emission thermal power, mainly in Asia. Third, the Asia Energy Transition Initiative, maximizing introduction of renewable energy. Second, providing an up to 10 billion US dollars in the coming 5 years, which will include our contribution to the launch of the Innovative Financial Facility for Climate, as we partner with the Asian Development Bank and others to support the decarbonization of Asia and beyond. This is in addition to Japan's contribution of providing the support was 60 billion US dollars that was announced last June. Third, doubling the Japan's assistance for adaptation to climate change to approximately 40.8 billion US dollars, both in public and private finance in 5 years to 2025. As a reminder, the adaptation field here refers to preventing and mitigating damages caused by climate change for countries vulnerable to its effect, including disaster risk reduction, etc. Fourth, providing financial assistance worth approximately 240 million US dollars for the forested sector, where will contribute to the conservation of the world's forestry in cooperation with the international organization using advanced technology. In the field of the ocean, the Osaka Blue Ocean Vision, which was agreed upon during Japan's presidency of the G20, was also confirmed at the G20 long meeting at the end of October this year, as a way to cope with the problem of marine plastic litter among major countries. As the ambassador of Japan, I would like to take the opportunity to mention a little bit about the current situation at the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant. 10 years have passed since the Great East Japan earthquake of March 11, 2011, and the result of untiring efforts, 96% of the plant has recovered to the point where people can work and land without protective suits. At the decommissioning of the reactor, including the removal of the fuel debris, beginning honest, a decision was made in April this year on how to dispose of the contaminated water that is currently stored after cooling atomic fuel. It will be discharged into the sea as specially treated water by ALPS, Advanced Liquid Processing System, in about 2 years after the proper preparation. This is the usual method of treatment generally used in nuclear power plants around the world. Although only tritium will remain after the removal of various radioactive material through ALPS, Japan's policy is to dilute it up to 40 times more than the regulated level before releasing it. I would like to emphasize the fact that IAEA, International Atomic Energy Agency, has positively evaluated the safety of this approach. While Japan is addressing the issue of climate change both domestically and internationally, if we limit ourselves to the offshore dimension, Japan's renewable energy development has not made as much progress as Portugal. Unfortunately, the topography of Japan's continental shelf is not as shallow and expansive as that enjoyed by Norway, Denmark, UK, and Portugal, which has made it difficult for Japan to have mega offshore wind farms at a relatively low cost. We also have to take into account natural disasters such as large earthquakes and typhoons, which Portugal fortunately does not have. Nevertheless, Japanese frontrunners are boldly taking on the challenge of advancing offshore renewable energy. As an island nation with a long coastline, Japan has a high potential for the development of offshore renewable energy, which means not only at the sea water level, but also under the sea. Through today's presentation by the Japanese speaker, I'm proud to be able to introduce to the Western audience, especially to the Portuguese, Japan's distinctive initiative that are unique in the world. Japan, surrounded by the sea, is a maritime nation that boasts one of the world's largest shipping industries. Thus, Japan and Portugal are commonly maritime nations. We have great potential to develop together future marine energy collaboration too. Though at this moment, we don't have much concrete cooperation in this area yet. So indeed, I hope this webinar can be a good opportunity to get to know each other closely, and it can be a strong step to realize further marine energy collaboration in the near future. In closing, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to all the speakers from both countries, to the WavEC staff involved in the preparation and management of this event, and to all the viewers of this webinar. Thank you very much for your attention. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Ambassador of Japan. We are going now to show a video of the Minister of the Sea, Ricardo from Santos. He is not able to present here live, but we will show you a video. Thank you.
Muito bom dia a todos. Good morning and konnichiwa to our friends who are joining us from the Pacific Ocean. It is a great pleasure for me and an honor to address the WavEC Offshore Renewables Annual Seminar this year in co-organization with the Embassy of Japan in Lisbon. And thank you very much for the invitation. A few weeks ago, I was in Glasgow at the United Nations Climate Conference, the COP26, where world leaders, scientists, companies, and civil society representatives gathered once again to tackle the climate emergency we live in. It is increasingly clear that the energy transition towards carbon-free renewable energy sources is urgent. Today, the world is still dependent on fossil fuels for more than 80% of its energy needs. And this value must move towards 0% in the coming decades. As a maritime nation whose history, economy, and worldview were very much shaped by our relationship with the ocean, Portugal is very much aware of the vital importance of the ocean in this challenging transformation. In the first semester of 2021, Portugal held the presidency of the European Union Council and we organize many meetings and conferences highlighting the sea as a key factor in the post-pandemic recovery of the European and world economies. We held a ministerial meeting and conference in Lisbon in the World Oceans Day, focused strictly on the Council conclusions document on the EU integrated maritime policy dedicated to a sustainable economy. The 5 vectors of the Portuguese presidency are present in that document, which acknowledge the central role of the sea in a resilient, green, digital, social and global Europe. So it should be no surprise that Portugal is increasingly focused on the ocean as a source of many forms of renewable energy and simultaneous as the world's largest hydrogen reserve. We have been pioneers in ocean renewable energy exploration since 1977 with many research and development projects, and in the 90s with the wave power plant in Pico Island in the Azores. Over several decades, Portugal has been the testing ground of several new offshore and onshore technologies. And at this point, I should like, and I must, to acknowledge the important role that WavEC has had in this exciting and still ongoing journey. Currently, Portugal has installed a capacity of over 25 megawatts, and by 2030 should have 370 megawatts of oceanic renewable energy according to our national strategy for the sea. Our roadmap for carbon neutrality 2050 has a target of more than 1.3 gigawatts of oceanic renewable energy as part of Portugal's commitment to reduce its greenhouse gas emissions by more than 85% compared to 2005. I'm very confident we will exceed these targets comfortably, since I am aware of a very interesting pipeline of new private investments being programmed in commercial scale projects in Portugal. As part of our National Recovery and Resilience Plan, a large investment program focused on economic recovery and reindustrialization, we are planning several large-scale investments in what we call the Blue Hub. This is a network of science and business parks in innovation incubators, 7 of which will be in Portugal mainland, and another one in the Azores in Faial Island. Most of these centers will be built from scratch, creating shared labs, office space for co-working, where we can bring together scientists, startups, small and large companies in a network of facilities that will have direct access to the sea to test prototypes and do all kinds of research. This will be fully operational by 2025, and the ocean renewable sector is one of the focus areas. One last reform I would like to mention, which is also part of our National Recovery and Resilience Plan, is the new scope and regulation of Fundo Azul, the Portuguese Blue Fund. And this is relevant for the financing of innovative projects. The Portuguese Blue Fund launched a new program called Portugal Blue in a partnership between the European Investment Fund, o Banco Português de Fomento, and the Minister's Fundo Azul. The program is focused on blue economy investments with climate impact and sustainable development goals. It was created to attract private capital from public and institutional investors into the local blue economy landscape through venture capital and private equity funds managed by the Portuguese-based teams with an initial target of bringing 75 million euros. I invite you all to look up these exciting new developments, and I hope this seminar will motivate you to focus in Portugal. Thank you very much, and best wishes to all of you. Thank you.